Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie, or Twice an RN, and I make all nursing school inspired content here on my YouTube channel. So if you're new here, welcome. Love to have you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button below so you know when we release a new video. Today's video is the 12 things that I have learned in my first 12 months of nursing school that was voted on over on Instagram, so be sure to follow us over there at Twice an RN. I am going to go through my top 12 things that I learned in my first 12 months of nursing school. I personally think the last two are the best, so be sure you watch this video all the way through. For those of you that don't know, I am in an accelerated BSN program, which means you generally finish in about 3 years. So I'm actually a third year BSN student. I completed my first full year of nursing school in 2020. So needless to say, it was a huge year of growth and learning for me, and I wanted to share my top 12 tips for your first year of nursing school. So let's get into it. Number 1, I want you to know that it's okay if you get a C in one of your science classes. I know it was always such a huge thing that I heard of and had so much pressure from past advisors that you have to get A's and B's in your science prereqs or you wouldn't be admitted into nursing school. It's just not true. It's not true. I think I got C's in 2 of my nursing school prereqs. It absolutely still means that you can get into a nursing program. That's okay. I think that a lot of these prereq courses are designed to be harder than your nursing school courses. They're there to really challenge you and to almost kind of weed out the people that just don't want to put the effort in to do well in their classes. So yes, those prereq science courses, they are really hard. I hear you, but stick with them. It's okay. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be a good nursing student. I challenge you to ask some of the nurses that you know what they got in their nursing school prereq science classes. I bet a lot of them got C's, and I bet a lot of them are really good nurses. So don't let that stop you from getting into nursing school. Number 2 tip, you need a support system. I am so lucky. I have such a great family. I have a wonderful husband at home. They give me all the support that I need to get through this program. But I know there's a lot of people out there that just don't have that. So there's a lot of communities just like mine, Twice an RN, and there's a huge community of nursing students over on Instagram. They're amazing. They give you tons of inspiration, tons of tips, tons of homework help. So there's tons of communities out there that want to give you the support to get through nursing school. So find a community that you identify with and stick with them throughout school. My number 3 tip. I know you've heard this one before, but I'm going to say it again. You need to be organized. I heard that so much during my nursing school orientation. It was like drilled into my head. I'm like, okay, how organized do I really have to be? Oh my gosh, it's like a whole new level of organization when you're a nursing student. So I personally have a planner. I know that there's a lot of really great apps out there for your phone, electronic ones that you can keep track of and just have on your phone all the time. For me, I'm just a person that likes to write things out. So I have good old-fashioned written out planner, and I sit down with it once a week. I go through all of my assignments. I write them all out. I write out the due dates. I know exactly what I have due all of the time. So I'm really organized with all of my classes. Be sure you carry it with you wherever you go. Look at it every single day. Make sure you know those due dates for assignments and what you need to get done that day. Number 4 tip, you need to learn how to study, which probably sounds really stupid because everyone knows how to study, but that is so not true of your nursing courses. It is like a completely different type of studying when you're in nursing school. There's times that you could have over 10 chapters of reading assigned. 10 chapters in a science book. That is so much information, it's impossible to read word for word and retain all of the information. So I'm going to tell you what I do to study and how it's been able to be successful for me in my first year. So when you're assigned a lot of reading chapters in a science or nursing course, you're not going to read those chapters word for word, front cover to back cover. It's just not the best way to learn the information. So what I do is I go through the chapter and I just kind of skim it. And I stop at any bolded points or like good pictures with good information on it, and I'll read those. But mostly I'm just skimming through the information to get familiar with it. And then at the end of the chapter, there's usually a chapter review or a summary that's going to have the key information that you need to know from that chapter. So I will read that word for word, and I'll make a lot of my notes based off of that information. I do all of this before the lecture day, because by the time you get to the lecture day, you would have heard this information in the chapters and in the chapter summary, so you're going to be familiar with what the professor is talking about. Then you're going to listen to the lecture, you're going to take your notes. That combined with the notes from the chapter, you're going to have an awesome study guide for your quizzes and tests. So don't spend hours and hours reading every word of these chapters. It's kind of a waste of time. So just follow those tips, and I promise you, you'll remember a lot more from that chapter. My number 5 tip really piggybacks off of my number 4 tip. So when you study, you need to set a timer. So for example, what I do is I set my timer for 45 minutes. I put my phone away, turn off the TV, close out any distractions, and I focus on my studies for 45 minutes. When that timer is up, I stop and I take a 15-minute break. You cannot go hours and hours and hours studying and retain the information. Your brain does not work that way. It is not going to retain the information. So find a best way for you to study. Play around with the times a little bit. I know there's a lot of people that do an hour of studying and then a 30-minute break. So try a couple different ones and see how you feel on your breaks. See if you retain the information, if you feel like you know what you just read. If you don't, then you need to back off on your time, maybe just study for a half an hour and then take a half-hour break. All right, number 6 tip, use your school resources. I go to Chamberlain College of Nursing, and they have an amazing support system for their students there. They have an entire department just dedicated to one-on-one tutoring or group tutoring. There's also a ton of extra information in your course shells, and of course your professors are always there with their additional office hours where you can have meetings with them. And when I first started, honestly, I didn't reach out for help that much. I was almost kind of embarrassed, like I wanted to be that student that didn't need those extra resources, like I could do it on my own. And I really wish I would have reached out for help sooner. It's just an amazing resource, and it's actually kind of built into your tuition money, so you're paying for it. So you might as well just use those extra resources. So don't be shy about using those resources, and don't wait until you're already failing a class. Just go ahead and use them from the start. Okay, tip number 7, which might be one of my favorite tips. You need to learn to take care of yourself. I have a lot of co-nursing students that spend 3, 4, 5 hours at night studying for their classes, staying up until 5 o'clock in the morning, only sleeping for a few hours before class, and they are just burnt out. They're not retaining the information, it's not an effective way to study, and they're just not taking care of themselves. So I remember last year when I was taking Anatomy and Physiology 2, there was probably a week's time where I just felt so overwhelmed with the information that I didn't shower, I didn't change out of my pajamas, I dedicated 100% of my time to studying for that class, and it was awful. I didn't retain the information. In fact, that was probably my lowest grade that I got in the entire series of Anatomy and Physiology, because it's just not an effective way to study, and it's not a good way to live. You really need to be taking care of yourself. So honestly, make sure you're getting at least 7 hours of sleep a night. You're feeding yourself well, having healthy meals. Try to get some exercise. I know a lot of people use the gym as a way to relieve stress. So it's just really important to make sure that you're taking care of yourself so you're at your healthiest level to learn this information. All right, you guys, number 8. You need to learn how to not waste time. So I remember one of my very first nursing classes, our first assignment was this worksheet. And for 7 days straight, we filled out what we were doing every single hour of every single day. And to be honest with you, at first I thought it was the dumbest assignment. I thought, this is not teaching me anything about nursing. This is just a complete waste of time. But after I completed the full 7 days of tracking my time, it was so valuable. I saw blocks of time that were just completely being wasted by watching TV, being on social media, doing all of these things that just don't serve a purpose in your life right now. Your focus is on nursing school and doing a good job. So I highly recommend printing out one of these worksheets. Keep track of what you're doing every hour of every day for 7 days. And you're going to identify some periods of time that you're completely wasting that you could probably sneak in a little bit more study time. So please take the time to do that. I will link one down below so that you can download it and start tracking your time. It's a huge time saver, I promise you. Number 9 tip, make sure you're prepared for your Skills and Clinicals Day. So if you're not familiar with it, Skills Day, like I'm doing in Health Assessment 1 right now, is where you actually go to campus and you're in a lab and you have a dummy mannequin that's your patient, you're there with your instructors, and you're actually starting to practice some of these things that you've been learning in lecture. So it's a really exciting day, but it's super chaotic and it's super busy. And then you also have your clinical days. Your clinical days is where you're actually going to go to other facilities such as long-term care centers, hospitals, and you are going to be doing these things on real patients. So you're going to have your clinical instructor there, you're going to be working with the nurses, and you're going to be taking care of patients. So that's really exciting. I mean, that's the reason why we're going to nursing school, so we can take care of these patients. But those days are crazy, and some of those clinicals start at 6 o'clock in the morning. So if you're like me and you live 45 minutes away from the clinical site, you're probably going to be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So those days can turn into a disaster really quickly if you're not prepared. So what I recommend doing, lay out your uniform the night before. So a lot of nursing schools have a uniform requirement for Skills and Clinicals days, and they're very particular about the way that you need to look when you're on these days. So be sure that you're familiar with the uniform policy and make sure you have all of that laid out the day before. So that when you wake up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning for your clinical, you're going to have everything laid out and ready to go, and you can just grab it and go. So pack your backpack, any study material that you need, any of your Skills Day equipment. A lot of places have a clinical bag. Just lay it all out so that it's ready for you so you can get up, shower, and go. All right, my number 10 tip is YouTube. YouTube is such an amazing resource in nursing school, and it's free. So not only are you going to find a lot of people like me that are sharing their nursing school journeys so that you can kind of follow along and find out what to expect in some of these classes, but there's really good educational resources on YouTube. So if you're struggling with a concept and you feel like you just need to watch it like you're a visual learner, find that concept on YouTube and watch some of the videos. It's a great learning tool. For example, right now, I'm in Health Assessment 1 and we're working on doing our head-to-toe assessments. I can read about it all I want to, and I kind of understand what I'm reading, but until I see someone actually do it in front of me, I'm just really not going to learn it because I'm a very visual learner. So just search head-to-toe assessment nursing school, and you're going to find a ton of really great resources. All right, we're getting into the last 2 tips, which are my 2 favorite things that I learned in my last 12 months of nursing school. So number 11 is you are going to make your nursing school experience. And what I mean by that is you hear so many horror stories of nursing school and nursing students, just how terrible it is and how hard it is and how they're breaking down crying at least once a day because it's just so overwhelming. It's almost enough just to scare you out of applying to nursing school, at least for me it was. But once I got into nursing school, I quickly found out that it's completely up to you how you make your experience. So for example, last semester I was in microbiology. The session before that, I was in chemistry. I almost failed chemistry. I think I passed by 0.4%. So when I found out I had the same teacher for microbiology, I panicked a little bit. So I started asking around about microbiology, and all I heard was, oh my gosh, that class is so hard, there's so much information you have to learn, you have to memorize every type of bacteria, blah, blah, blah. So I was definitely dreading that class. But once I got into the class, I loved it. I absolutely loved microbiology. I wish I hadn't listened to people and psyched myself out about that class. It really is up to you to make the best out of your experience. So don't listen to your upperclassmen or other people and psych yourself out for these classes, because you're going to make it your own. So please don't listen to what everyone says. Go into your classes with an open mind, and you're going to have so much better of an experience. And once you're the upperclassman, make sure you're not doing that to your underclassmen. Hype them up for these classes. Tell them how great it was. Yeah, it was challenging. There was a lot of information, but it was a really great class, and I think you're going to enjoy it too. I think it's just really important for all of us to make this a good experience for everyone. This brings me to my final tip, tip number 12, the 12th thing that I learned in my 12 months of nursing school so far, and that is, you have no idea how much you are going to love this. I absolutely know now that nursing is my calling, and the further that I get into nursing school, the more I know that to be true. Nursing school can be really intimidating. There's a lot of information. It's really challenging. But I think once you start getting into these classes, and especially when you start getting into your nursing classes and you get that hands-on experience and you really start learning what it is to be a nurse, if that's your calling, it's just going to hit you. So like I said before, you're going to make it your own experience, and it's going to be an amazing experience. And time is going to fly. I cannot believe that I've completed my first year of nursing school. I know that I'm in the right place, and I know that I'm on the right career path, and I'm so excited for the future and to be able to take care of these patients. With each session, I just feel like my passion for nursing grows more and more. So that's it, guys. That's my top 12 things that I learned in my first 12 months of nursing school. I hope you like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. Let me know which one was your favorite, and let me know if there's something that you've learned in your nursing school experience that could help someone else. We are building such an awesome community here at Twice an RN. I really hope that you'll join us, because I want to help support you on your nursing school journey. So thank you so much for watching. My dogs are barking, so I gotta go. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.